Michael and this is DMS 51412.
Hi, I'm Paul and we're restoring her back to her former glory.
Hi, I'm Scott. Jump on board and join us on our journey.
And I'm Johnny, and welcome to Destination DMU.
Right guys, welcome back to another episode of Destination DMU. This is episode 17. In this episode, you're going to be seeing more panel ripping out, more restoration, and just generally more benefiting to rusty DMUs. In this episode, specifically, this panel is going to have a new top put on it because it's had a previous attempt before in a previous life, and that wasn't very good. And a panel just behind Johnny is also completely rotten, so that's going to be replaced as well, and all the framework along with it and the roof.
So yeah, a little bit of deja vu, but first order of the day is to, up there-ish, we got to cut out a bit of roof just to inspect the cant rail. From what we've seen just on the end, it needs to be inspected. But apart from that, you know, it's just going to be a little bit of deja vu. So yeah, let the pain begin.
Right guys, so as you can see, put our famous soy sauce on the cant rail to convert any rust that's left over. That'll then get a coating of anti-corrosive primer and tar paint. As you can see, why it's vital that we cut out this 70mm. Some of it, like this bit, is not all bad, but when we get to this bit, there's only takes a tiny little pinhole in the roof and this sort of thing starts. So it's not beyond the realms. We're literally just going to cut the top half of the cant rail out and put a small sliver of car line in there just to build it back up to strength where it needs to be. Apart from that, it's all good. So that's why we inspect the whole way along, just so we can find anything like this rather than just welding up the gap, because lo and behold, we'll then have to come back and do exactly what we're doing again. Whereas if we just seal it up and do it all properly once, it's done then. So basically that is what we're doing. And now what I'm going to do is prime and paint the window frames in the first saloon. Right guys, so what I'm doing here is I'm painting the back of the panels in anti-corrosive black primer, and then this will be followed up by a coat of bitumen tar paint, which will seal it up nicely. It's a nice thick very weather resistant paint, which will see this very good for many years hopefully.
So as you've seen, we've now painted those panels in the first saloon. We're now at the point where we're now getting to this lovely job. We have a quick update on them. You saw them being obviously painted in anti-corrosive black. They have now been bitumen blacked. So all done there. The window frames, not window frames, the windows have now been shaped. The very edge of them, like here, have now been shaped. They're all good. All of the machine screws have been welded over, and those first two panels are now ready to be painted. So after you see me rip this panel out and maybe that next panel, you'll see them get painted. Now, we obviously got a little bit of deja vu here because we've got 4 panels to rip out. Got this one, well, not quite all of this one, because this section, as you've seen, that I've marked off, it's in good condition. We'll strip it to make sure, but a sheet of steel, I've kept saying it's 4 foot, it's not, it's a metre. I don't know where 4 foot came from, but it's a metre wide. So cut out a metre. No matter if this has to stay or go, a metre sheet will have to go in here. So it's okay that we haven't stripped this yet. So that's what you're going to see me rip out from your angle rather than inside. I've marked out the welds. Yet again, the machine screws all came off behind this window frame, so this window frame will be left hanging. Now onto that next panel. Now you can see that we stripped it because we thought it was good. It was, I believe, one of the first repairs done in preservation, and it's not bad, but there are a few things where it doesn't meet the same quality that we're going for, and because of that, it's coming out. And it's not a decision that we've taken lightly, because that's more work for us. It was obviously going to be a half panel, but the bottom half's been replaced in preservation. Now, bottom half wasn't painted on the back. I don't know why. You know, I'm not trying to put anybody down. That's not what I'm doing. But just like, it doesn't meet that same standard. The steel that's in it is only 1 mil thick for some reason, whether it was what they had on hand or, you know, whatever. But it just isn't thick enough. So, you know, if anything went wrong with the paint, that panel was going to go pretty much twice as quickly as any of our other panels. This isn't the meat there. And, you know, so we're going to rip that out. You know, the lip on the bottom isn't perfect as well. It looks like it's been hammered around the framework. Whereas we obviously make a deliberate weak point so that we get a nice sharp corner, because that's really quite nice. So, you know, it's annoying, but it just doesn't meet the standard we're up to. It's not a bad repair, but it's not a great repair. And not to mention the roof's been repaired there as well. So pretty much we're taking out that work. Not to mention it looks like the framework wasn't touched at all. So yes, it looks good, but equally we don't know what's behind there. There could be massive amounts of corrosion, because that's been in probably about 20 years. So if it wasn't treated then, and it's still leaking and it's rusting, because obviously they didn't paint the back and there's rust there, so that means there's been some kind of water getting in there. That's not good. So for satisfaction and peace of mind, we're going to take it out. It's annoying, but boo-hoo. Stuff happens. So yeah, and then apart from that, the next panel, another complete rip out. There probably isn't anything we can keep on it. And then the panel after it should just be a nice sheet of steel straight in. It's only about like this wide. So we'll trim a bit of steel, one big old bit in, off we go. And then finally at the end, we're basically doing what we did on the other side, underneath the window and above the window. And then we have got the lovely job after then of 7 meters of cant rail, which is going to be a new record for us. So I know I said in an episode 2 ago, the worst we've seen, we've already superseded that. So there you go. Title's now wrong. It wasn't wrong at the time. So yeah, it will be the worst we've seen, and it is the worst we've seen. There's a hell of a lot of work here. So I'm gonna, get to the grind and let the pain begin. So as you've seen, ripped this panel out and was feeling very positive today. So I decided to rip that repair out, and my positivity's gone. Mainly because, very frustrating, let's just say, I've now developed the opinion that I strongly dislike whoever did that. Because they've just, and I feel sorry for them a little bit, because they've wasted their time. It's just, the quality, just the more you dig, the worse it gets. So I'm now pretty much at the stage where I can, with relative confidence, say that it's like the worst panel we've seen framework-wise. The reason for that is not because the framework is bad, but where it was good, it has gone bad because of the way that they've put the panel on, and it's made it extremely difficult to take it off. And as you saw, it came off in one piece. The framework is so bad. I will take you in a minute and show you, just so that you get a perspective of how bad it is. The fact that they didn't do anything to the framework and they just chucked a bit of steel on. And yeah, it's frustrating to say the least. But this panel, this is a fairly easy fix really, relative. We've got a little bit to do up on the top. We usually have when these things go, and a little bit of Z section here. We might be able to keep it, to be fair, because everything else is in good, like, strong order. So, you know, it's not going to really let the side down too much. So, but over here, now it's just unsatisfactory, really. You can see here this framework, none of it's, you know, left. There's actually meant to be a bit of channel here that just came off with the panel, and there's also meant to be a bit of right angle here, also came off with the panel. But as you can probably not see from over there, but we're probably going to have to replace, you know, half the cross section of this framework, probably all the way down to just here. You know, there's a lot to do here. You know, a lot of welding, a lot of fixing, you know, because pretty much the only bits that survived are these. These are the only bits that survived. We've got to replace the very bottom angle at the very bottom of the panel. Yeah, it's really disheartening. I was in a good mood before this. But yeah, it's just not really, it's very demoralizing because there's now a lot to replace in this. But what we're going to do is I'll show you inside, and then we're going to go on and we are going to pretty much sew up what we've cut out now, that little 70mm on the roof. A little bit of framework needs doing on that, but we'll get that all sewed up so that then when we come back we can fully focus on these two panels, because there's a lot to do. So here we are inside, and as you can see, yeah, it kind of looks worse on the inside. And this is the general trend as we go from here, which is where we're cutting from, all the way to the very back, so 7 meters. But you can see here, like, it's just not really, they didn't replace the top, and you can tell. Not just because they didn't really put everything together as best they could, although I will admit this is a massive learning curve. We've gone through it as well, so if it was the first thing they'd done, then fair enough to them. But you can tell that, you know, they just haven't. You can see here the top hat's rotted. Here the car line, you can see that's bent. I tried to pry the old rusted metal out, and the cant rail gave way before the bodywork, so that just gives you an idea of how weak this is. So this is obviously now, after we fill up what we've done, it's going to be our next, you know, priority is getting this structurally sound, because this just isn't acceptable. And if we hadn't stripped this apart, to be fair, we would never really have realised this. So that's, you know, one of the good things about doing this is we're going to find all these things. So you can see, you know, you can see here, there's just a lot of rot really, and you can see here, there's just no cant rail left. It's just all gone, and it's just, you know, the car line is gone here. Like, it's just really like not acceptable. But it's just a shame really, because they've tried to just, with whatever they've got, cobble it together really, and they've wasted their time and they've wasted our time. But I am thankful on the, you know, silver lining of it is that if they hadn't done this, maybe this unit would have gone to scrap. We never would have touched it. So that's the silver lining of it really. But it's a shame because it's wasted both our times really. So this obviously, no, is bad, and yeah, we're now gonna seal up what's good. Which surprisingly, it's really weird actually how you can get an area like this utterly shot, yet you can get an area down there where there is still the original BR part number on the top of the cant rail. No rust, nothing. Almost like parts where there are original red oxide paint that has still got brush marks in it. It's pretty incredible. But it just shows, as soon as this roof goes, which they've tried to repair as well, that's the next fun story. But you know, they've tried to repair the roof as well, but either they just didn't have time or they didn't care, I don't know. They didn't paint any of the back of anything. So it's just, you know, it's a shame really, because if they, you know, painted the back of it, you know, maybe we might have been able to lift it in, but they didn't replace it in the framework, so actually we wouldn't. But you can see here, the roof's obviously bowed, so their repair now is going to give us a new challenge, which is exciting for me. I love a challenge. Is how to get rid of all this undulation, because they've obviously taken it apart, something's moved, and then they've tried to move it back, and in doing so have made the roof look worse. And you know, we've done a pretty good job throughout the entire length of the DMU. I can't have that as an eyesore. That doesn't sit right with me. So we'll see how we get past that, but we're going to have to cut up to here. So, you know, fun new challenge, you know. Maybe learn a bit of actually how BR did this, because I reckon that they just put flat sheet on and then just bent it round, because it would have been a lot easier to do that. So we're going to learn a bit of BR's lessons, and as much hate as I give BR sometimes in my quieter moments, you know, at least I can take their stuff apart easily. So yeah, we'll crack on, get everything sealed up, and then it's going to be a good build laps this.
Right guys, so what we're going to be doing now is welding in some more of this 70 section, just to cover up what we've inspected. Obviously this is all good, it's been cleaned, painted, primed, etc. Had all the works. So we're just sealing it back up now we know it's all good, and returning it back to its original state. Also, a little bit further up, just past me, one of the little car line sections is a little bit too rotted for our liking. So what Johnny's going to be doing is he's going to do a little repair just in here, just to keep its strength, and you'll see that in a minute.
So we're here just a few meters along from the little small top half of the cant rail repair that you've seen me do, and we have got this mess in front of us. Because we are going to Scotland, that video might be out before this one. If not, bit of a spoiler alert on next video is going to be in Straths Bay. We need a few things because we've got some exciting endeavours in Straths Bay. You may have seen them, you may have seen us work really hard on that, or, spoiler alert, you're about to see us work really hard in the next video. But because we are going to Straths Bay, we need our acro supports. We have 3. We have recently added another one to the fleet, which gives us the ability to do things like this, which is actually really helpful because you can make longer and longer sections on the ground and then put them in bigger and bigger pieces, which therefore means your quality of your work is going to be a lot higher in all those joins, because you would have done them in a nice position, you know, relaxed, not having burning metal fall on your face if you mess up a little bit, which ultimately leads to a stronger joint. So what we're going to do, because we've got 1 out of 3, because we need to take the other 2 to support, because, spoiler alert, thought we would get away with only having to do really 1 or 2 of them. Turns out we're doing 3. We are going to replace pretty much from where the start of our repair is going to be, just the first 2 supports here. So that then, because we've only got 1 acro, so we space them every other support, because that's sufficient to hold everything where it needs to be. So we've got a good one there, bad acro here. So we're only going to do these 2. We've got a nice offcut of cant rail that is about this long. I don't know how long this long is, but it's about this long. So we're going to bang that in. We've also got to do these bit of framework as well, because we want to get the panel in that we've ripped out, where it just needs to be one sheet of 1 metre by 2 metres in. But to do that, we obviously need good framework behind it, so that means that we need to rebuild an upright down here and an upright that you can't see there where the doors are, so that we can get that panel in, because that's our goal really for the end of this episode, is to get that panel in. So we've got to get this framework in pretty much, and we've got to get these car lines sorted, which actually then puts us in a really good position, because once we get these two sorted and supported, then we can take this acro down, then we'll be done in Scotland by the time you see us next, and then we can have 3 acro supports, which will take us from here, yeah, again, skip one, do the next one. That means that then we can do the rest of the repair in a oneer. So, you know, metre, 2 metres, metre and a half here, and then boom, 6 metres, which is going to be a really nice feeling to do that, because it's just going to be, it's just that satisfactory feeling when you've got just new, you know it's strong, you know when you close the doors, it doesn't sound like it's raining rust. So that's what you're going to see us do now. I'm probably going to cut it about here. I will get the bit that we've got as an offcut from previous repairs, and basically where it stops, it'll stop. So that's what you're going to see now. Going to be fun, going to be exciting. It's not going to be very hard to rip it out. As you can see, there's really not much left. It's not even connected there. So yeah, fun times, fun times. So let's get rebuilding the Goliath. So as you can see, guys, now we've got the bottom half of the cant rail in, top pat, got all the structural bits in that got taken out. I don't know how much of that you saw on the time lapse, because I just kind of got carried away. I got busy, and one thing led to another, and I just kept going. And now it's the end of the day. Michael has just etch primed the window frame, so that then that can be ready for a coat of white paint. Tomorrow. It's the end of the day now. So yeah, all the structural steel is in just for that panel. I haven't put the top half of the cant rail in yet, because just going to get this panel in, because we're going away to Scotland. This is the last working week that we've got until Scotland happens, and it was our goal to get the panel in. So we will. It doesn't. To be fair, this doesn't affect it at all. But all I've done is this. The car line, you can see, I've chopped at the relative heights for, you know, probably is about 2 meters of cant rail. We're doing it in sections. So this section is obviously in, and then I've had to go to the next bit of cant rail that is still going to be ripped out, but is actually stable enough to actually weld to, because we bang the cant rail in from a point that's known to another point that's known, and then build everything to it. The reason I've got this little bit of metal in here is because this is wanting to pull down over the door. I think it's just because of the way I've tacked it on the end. Because it's just tack, so I then can cut it, and then when I get a new bit of cant rail, boom, it just goes straight on. But just keeping the space above the door. This one's going to be tight, but that's good. You know, the tighter we can get it, the better. But I think this is going to be near paint scraping, so we might just have to give that just a gentle sand with a sander. It is a very difficult game to get right. Not to mention this door currently hasn't got a hinge on it, so it's kind of leaning that way. So, you know, you're trying to estimate everything to just about the right where it should be. So yeah, got the bottom half of the cant rail in. This is going to get painted. The reason why this doesn't matter is the panel will only come to about halfway up, so it still gives me plenty of access to put the top half on. But as we said, we do want to get that panel in by the end of this week. So end of today and end of tomorrow we'll have that in. Obviously we've got to mastic the window frames. All the framework that is exposed has been treated with Furtan. We've now finally gone through the first 5 litre tub of the soy sauce on that one. So, you know, if you're thinking, how far does that go? Well, we've We've done 1.5 DMUs. Well, actually, we've done pretty much 2 DMUs worth of framework on that, not to mention the panels that we painted the back of. So good value for money on that one if you're thinking of getting it. But yeah, so panel's going to go in next, but we do need to paint this framework. Apologies for things not being filmed, but I just kind of got into a grind. The phone died, and yeah, here we are. So hopefully the next thing you should see is painting of this framework in anti-corrosive black. Then we've got to get a coat of tar paint on it as well, and then we've got to bang the panel in, which is going to be, well, is being painted as we speak, because obviously we need the anti-corrosive black. Yeah, again, it's ideal if we're not welding near wet paint. That's always helpful. So we'll get that dry overnight. Then I'll shape it, you know, the usual routine, 20mm from the bottom, just a little slice into it, just to weaken it a little bit, bend it, you know, all by eye, and then get it in line. And then probably tomorrow as well, we'll strip that last little bit that we've left in. As I said before, doesn't matter if it's bad or not, because we're putting a meter sheet in, so it doesn't matter whether it's bad or not, because if it's bad, it'll get taken out and another bit of new metal will get put in. If it's good, it'll get welded to. So we still need to strip that. That will probably happen off camera because we're going to be extremely busy. There's a lot to do, but just to give you a heads up on what's actually going to be happening, how it's going, and yeah, so next thing you're going to see, framework get painted, get the 2 coats of paint on that, and get this panel in. I won't cut out the window on this episode, but it's just important. It's a big job. It takes a lot of time. If we can get it done, that puts us in good stead coming back from Straths Bay to then do 3 panels, you know, with our plan. That lines up quite well. So that's what you're going to see next. Hope you're enjoying the episode. Like and subscribe if you're new. Let's get on it.
Right guys, so now it's finally come to the time to pea green prime all this bare steel that we've put in, nice and strong. So yeah, it's all been panel wiped, so degreased, clean and ready for paint. Right guys, so that brings this episode to a close. As you will have seen, we've ripped off a couple more panels as they're in desperate need of it, especially the one to my right. We've managed to get a new panel in here, or most of a panel, because the other half was actually all right. So this is in, just needs the window cutting out and the stitch in the middle welding up with my welder. But yeah, as you're going to see, lots more framework being done. There's also been a start made on that, and then yeah.
So yeah, we just got enough done, just get this panel in because we are off to Scotland. Wrong guesses only in the comments below. If you get the right guess, we'll let you know, because we're interested to see what you think they've asked us to do. But that will be an exciting video, lots going to happen in Scotland, and yeah, should be good. But yeah, so we just needed to really get this in, because we've got soft deadlines that we want to hit. You know, they're not essential for, you know, the railways kind of operations, but we want to achieve stuff, so we set ourselves little deadlines to achieve, and this was one of them. So yeah, we've done that. Also, the Moxons, episode 2 of Railcar Stores on the Road, I will link that video probably up here. we did a video on their 104, their trailer car that they've done. That is being released on the 9th of September, first day in traffic. So we're going to be there, probably going to make a little video, do a little bit of an interview. So if you want to come and see us, and more importantly, if you want to come and have a ride, fish and chip train in the evening, it's going to be a lot of fun, you know, kind of what we do, get a little bit of a taste for it, so that's going to be quite enjoyable. So we would like to see you there. And also, if you can donate, then please do. It all does help. I'll leave a link down below in the description, as well as any other information that you need from this video.
Just to add another thing, we do have a couple of Mark 1 doors if you're something you're interested in, bit of memorabilia, just something that we've acquired along the journey of owning these things. We don't have a use for them, so if you'd like to make a small donation to our DMU restoration, then you can gladly take them off our hands. And then, yeah, I'll get Johnny to link some pictures to them somewhere around here.
So yeah, if you're feeling generous, let us know either Facebook Messenger or leave us a comment saying you're interested, and we'll get in touch and, you know, put them to a good home, because we don't have any use for them. Anyway, so that's that for this video. Important updates all done. So what you're going to see next video is we've got a few more panels to rip out, and we're going to start the Goliath, which is the massive framework repair that we've got here. So hope you enjoyed. If you like, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, because we've got a lot more coming down the pipeline. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in Scotland.